Greetings, ChristopherL. This is Poser TV and your host, The Edge. This is a response video to your video called Don't Call Me Christian No More. And actually this is a response to you and the people that subscribe to you, and pardon me for piggybacking and hoping that they will watch this, but at this point I think I maybe have 30 subscribers to your 200. So hopefully someone will watch this. The first thing I want to ask all of you, that especially the ones that commented on Christopher's rebuking, is, did you for even 60 seconds stop and consider that he might have been talking to you? My temptation was to just do what most everyone did, which was, right on, Christopher, preach it, man. Get those guys that are doing bad. You know, those guys over there, behind me. Over there. Not right here, but because you weren't talking to me, right? I get that temptation, but I think we need to examine ourselves. I mean, a Christian brother, gifted with leadership and speaking ability, has rebuked Christians, and I consider myself one. And, you know, whether I'm truly guilty of some of the things he says or not, I do share this label with lots of different people, and they're not believing the same things that I believe. In some cases, even the most fundamental belief, which is a belief in Jesus Christ, is a little bit screwed up with some people. You know, they believe in Christ, but maybe they don't believe that's the only way to salvation, or maybe they believe he's just one of many prophets. I don't know. There's just some messed up stuff. So there seem to be two schools of response to this video. School one was, yeah, go get him, Chris. I'm not one of those. I'm glad I'm not one of those. I know you weren't talking to me, and I support you all the way. And then there was a few of you that either examined yourself and realized he was talking to you, or maybe felt a little bit convicted, and you did kind of argue back with him. But there's still a difference between doing that and accepting the rebuking and trying to make changes. Because the ones of you that argued with him were like, you know, Chris, we're loving, and we need to treat each other and with respect, and there's all kinds of different parts to the body, and I get it, but come on. Are you justifying something in your own ministry? You know, did you hear anything he said? So that's my first response, because I was just kind of getting sick of everybody that was like either staunchly defending their position or joining in with Chris saying, hey, you're right, man, go get them. But let me address the actual issue at hand. Christian label. The Christian label. This is not something new, and I don't think Chris was trying to act like it was. I'll probably post a link. Let me figure this out over here. Maybe a couple links, actually. I'm trying to make this a short video. It's going to be long. There are some funny Mac versus PC parodies in my favorites. And the Macintosh version calls himself a Christ follower, and the PC version calls himself a Christian. And it's just kind of a parody of how some modern day thinking and changes are taking place. You know, there's an identifiable difference between someone that follows Christ and someone that just claims the typical worldly idea of the word Christianity. So I get where he's coming from. I don't know that I'm going to start calling myself a Christ follower. I think Guam is right when he says that, you know, you're going to get labeled, whether you label yourself or not. And if you do manage to successfully jump ship and put another label on yourself, eventually someone's going to join this little group called the Christ followers and not be a Christ follower. I don't want to say this is an exercise in futility, but I do want to say that you will be known by your fruit. You will be separated. The wheat will be separated from the thresh by God. And I know it's frustrating to wait for that day and that time, but that's biblical. But one question I have is, where did we get the term Christian? As much as I claim to know, as much as I've researched, that's one thing I don't know the answer to. You know, I'm reading Acts right now. And I realize my Bible's an English translated Bible, so this probably isn't the original word. I'm sure there's some sort of Hebrew, Aramaic word that, you know, is what it's really called. But in English, Christians were not called Christians. They were followers of the way. That sounds good. Why can't we go back to that? We talk about getting back to the first century church. Why? Let's be a follower of the way. It's simple. It's direct. Doesn't leave room for other options. It's the way, as in there's no other way. And that's biblical too, you know. Christ says that he is the only way to God. Maybe that's where that came from, the way. So where do we get the term Christian in the first place? Is that an add-on 500 years after he died? 200 years after he died? 1,000 years after he died? So I don't care what I'm called as long as people know that I'm associated with Jesus. I think I'm going to divide this into two videos because one of the things that I wanted to do was go over one of my old blog posts. That's something I tend to do because a lot of the subjects we talk about here on YouTube I've covered in one form or fashion, and I tend to write a whole lot better than I speak. Even though reading can be boring to a degree, I think I'll do more justice to this topic in my second post. So please take the time after you finish this video to go to the one called the Churched versus the Mischurched. I want to end on two final notes. First one, I think some of you need to hear. And then the second one maybe is more directly to ChristopherL. Maybe directly to some of the more mature Christians. But the first one, I never agree with Chris just to agree with him and be a part of some accepted ChristopherL group of followers. 9 times out of 10, I actually do agree with the guy. He's gifted, he's led by the Spirit. But he'll tell you, I've gigged him on a few things. Usually they're minor details, but I'll disagree. But some of you seem to blindly follow Chris, and that's not what he's looking for, guys. Follow Christ, not Christopher. And if you're doing that, then you probably will still agree with a lot of what Christopher says, because he's doing that. But there's a lot of you that just waver in the wind on anything Chris says, and you need to take inventory of yourself. You need to decide if he's rebuking you or not, and just identify who you're following. Chris is an attractive leader. So attractive that I probably mention him in every other video, and more than half of my stuff is a response video to him. So maybe I'm just as guilty, guys. Final thought. This might be for me, for Christopher, for some of the people that share this kind of frustration on this particular topic. Here it is. Are we truly frustrated because others share our label that are not Christian? Or are we frustrated that so many are not in the same place in their walk as we are? Just remember how long it took you to get where you are. This is The Edge signing off for now.